Welcome to today's class. Reminder about our last class. In our last class, we learned about header tag, paragraph tag, anchor tag, image tag, list tag. We also even created a basic HTML page with the tags that we have learned. In this lesson, we will learn about HTML attributes and advanced elements. HTML attributes provide additional information about HTML elements. They are written inside opening tags, and this is the format for writing the HTML attributes. So we write the attributes and then we put the value. One of those attributes that we have is the class and the ID attributes. The class attribute is used to apply styles or used to manipulate elements. The ID attribute uniquely identifies a single element. It can also be used to apply styles, but it uniquely identifies a single element. You cannot use an ID attribute in several elements, but you can use class attributes in several elements. We also have the style attribute. It adds inline style directly to an element. So you want to add inline style, put all this in practice when we are doing the practical. We also have the link attribute. It consists of href for hyperlinks to link to other pages. We also have targets to specify where to open the link, whether you want to open it in the blank page for the next page to show. The advanced HTML elements include forms, tables. We use forms to collect user input. We will also use tables to display data in rows and columns. All these are going to be put into practice as we go on. So practically, let's look at class and ID attributes. So the class and ID attributes, we have a paragraph here that has an attribute of class. It has an attribute of class, intro P, and this is an introductory paragraph. So I named it intro P so that anyone that sees this will know that this is an introductory paragraph. Assuming I want to style this, to be easy for you to identify where this class style is represented. So, which means that it is advisable for one to use names that can be easily understood, names that you can identify and say, okay, this section has this name, or this paragraph has this name. It will not be difficult for you to look for where you have styled a particular paragraph or section. And another attribute we'll talk about is ID attribute. The ID attribute uniquely identifies an element. So you can use an ID attribute to identify multiple elements. Notice here that I've used intro P to identify this paragraph and this other paragraph. They have the same class name, but this one has a separate class name because it's a unique identity. It uniquely identify a single element, but the class can identify several elements. Let's look at how it's displayed on the browser. Okay, so this is how it's displayed on the browser. This is the introductory, this is the unique, and this is the other paragraph that has the same class with this introductory, and the other paragraph that has the same class with the introductory. So what makes them different? Are we using ID? Why are we using class? Assuming I want to style that class called intro p, whatever style I give to this intro p will reflect both here and here. I've done a style here. I've given that intro p the color for the paragraph or for the text to be brown. I have also changed the font size to be 60 pixel and the font family to be trebuchet. Notice that all this styling is inside this block of curly braces, and because I'm styling a class, I have to use a period sign before the class name. If I were to style an ID, I will use a pound sign or a pound sign or an hashtag for it. So I'm styling a class, so I will use a period sign before the class name. Now let's look at how this appears on the browser. Now look at the browser. This is the first paragraph. I'm trying to increase or decrease so that you see what my browser looks like. This is the first paragraph. This is the unique paragraph. This is the second and this is the third paragraph. They all have one style. I didn't have to go to style each of them individually because I use a class name and then attributed the class name to each of the paragraph. Then they all inherited this style that I have given to this intro p class. Now let's proceed. Let's look at style attributes. So style attributes here we have, this is my style paragraph. Look at this very well. What I did here was introduce another paragraph and then I put a content in it. This is style paragraph. Now we are now going to add a style attribute, and every attribute is added on the first tag of the element. That is the opening tag of the element, not the other tag, but this opening tag. What differentiates these two tags is one has a / this and the other does not. So every attribute should be inside this first opening tag of the element. So inside here, I introduce the style tag. This style tag now asks me what style do I want to change, what attributes do I want to add. This is the attribute I've added. Now what are the style inside the attribute I want to effect? I want to effect the color, so I'll type the color. And what color do I want to pick? I'll say red. I want to also change the font size, or let me change the font weight. So I want to change the font weight. I want to make it 900. So it will be thicker than the ordinary paragraph. Let's look at how this appears. So this is style, this is thicker than this although it's by default 16 pixel, but this is thicker. You might not notice difference between the two of them, but if I increase the font size of this one to be 60 pixel like this one, you will notice the thickness of this. Let's try that. So this is 30, so let's use 30. So I'm adding each style after every semicolon inside the inline style. So sorry for the emits. So notice that the after every semicolon, color red semicolon, I add another style type I want to add, or style property I want to add. After any semicolon, I add another property. It's the same thing with what we have here. After every semicolon we add, after every semicolon we add. It's the same thing, but this is just arranged in block. You can also do it like this. It doesn't matter. But we are trying to arrange our work so that it looks nice and presentable. So let's look at the thickness of this now. Now that we have added the font size. So look, this is the same font size 30. Notice that it is thicker than this. Now let's progress. We also be looking at the attributes of an anchor tag. Yes, we have learned about anchor tag in our previous class, but the one attribute we want to talk about is the target attribute. The href attribute leads us to the page that we are going to. The target attribute tells us that do you want to open this tab in the parent tab, or you want to open it in another tab. You know, when you usually go online, you can right click and open in another tab, or you can click on a link and it takes you to another tab by default. Here, by default, it will open in a parent tab, but if you set it to open in another tab, like the blank tab, it has 4 values: the top, the self, the parent, and the blank. So if you ask it to open by default on the parent, it will open on the parent. So let's look at what I mean. Here we have this link and the target is set to parents, which means that this Google form will open here, in here. I don't have to right click to open a new tab, but it will open inside this space. Once I left click on it, it will open inside here. As you can see, that's open inside here. Okay, let us set it by default to open in another tab. So we'll change this parent to blank. Notice that before the blank there is an underscore, so always include the underscore when you are setting the target. Now I've set it to blank. Let's check what it is. So this has automatically refreshed. I will click this and we'll notice that it's open a new tab. So you see, it's opening on another tab. It's not the same tab, it's opening on another tab. Okay. Let's progress. So the advanced HTML that we have element that we will talk about, one of them is the form HTML, the form element rather, and the other one is the table element. So The form, we use it to retrieve information from users and we use it to post the information to the database. Notice here that we have like an attribute for the form action. This is where we write the database or we write the code that will make this possible, that will retrieve the name and will submit it. This is where we write it. Then the method that we use to send it or to receive it. So we can use get or we can use post. As time progresses, we will learn about that and why to use which over which. Now, what do you want to retrieve? For example, if you want to retrieve the name attribute, the name rather, we use this label to represent this name. If we want to retrieve then the user will type their name inside this inputs for this input tag here, and you use submit to post it to the database. So if we just put this input tag, the user might not know that, oh, I don't know what to type here. Let's just look at this. So this is the tag. I want the users to input their name here. I can just put in the name and then click on submit. If I remove this name, you might not know what I need you to type here. Let's look at it. So if I comment on this name and it's out now, yes. What do you know I want you to type here? You might not know what I want you to type here. So that's why we use the label. But if you don't want to use the label, sometimes you see something like this placeholder. Inside the placeholder, you write what you want the person to input. So this now stays inside the input tag, fintech. Okay, so full name. Usually when you go online, you see most form, you don't have any label, but you will see the representation of what they want you to write. So you click on it, and once you start typing, that placeholder leaves it, and then you click on submit. Let's progress. So another element that is advanced is the table element. You can use the table element to arrange data in rows and in column. So this table element has rows, and then it has column inside it. So this is TH or TD, table head or table data is what represents the column. Then TRO, table row, represent the row. So let me assume that we have submitted this and we are generating the serial number and we are also retrieving the name. So this is like the header, and we have retrieved number 1, the serial number 1, and then the name, Greek Tech. So serial number 1, Greek Tech. This is how it's going to be arranged here. If we want to style it, when we progress to CSS, we know how to style it. But this is how it will show here. Let's increase it further so you see. So this is how it will show here. Okay. So this is it for today. I have a mini project for you to work on. So create a personal portfolio. Use the element and attribute that we've learned. Include a form for visitors to contact you. Create a table to list your projects and skills. And style the page using inline style or by applying classes and ID, just as I have taught you. Make researches ask me question on the comment section. I'll be there watching and waiting for your questions to answer it. Or you can join my group link. It's on the page there. Subscribe to my channel, like and share. Thank you.